charm, it is a Monday. That's what happens on Monday. Hi. Welcome to another Cheep and Chitter, which is where I ramble on about personal things in this vlog. Today we'll be playing Minecraft, because I feel like it. And if you're wondering, what's up with the attitude? I've done this 3 times. The first time, after about 20 minutes, I went, no, don't much care for that. I'm just incoherent and it's mostly Minecraft, which is not entirely the purpose of this. It's meant to just be a vehicle, whereas the story should really be the main thing, answering questions, talking about what's going on personally. It's not a Let's Play. And then so I started over, and after about 10 minutes, I realized I'd flubbed just so many times and lost the thought train. Nope, we're not doing it again. It's just as it is. So I started that over after half an hour in. Then I recorded a pretty solid one for an hour. It was long, but I went into a lot of detail about a lot of things. It wasn't the most cohesive, but it was fine. Then I found out I messed up my recording and I had no mic audio the entire time. Or the entire time once I switched over to playing Minecraft as well. Because the way OBS does it, which is the recording software that I use to capture my screen and a microphone and my camera all at the same time, you set up different scenes. So this is just my camera for full screen, and I switched to another scene, and I've switched out my microphone since the last time. As you notice, I'm not speaking into that physical microphone that was right in front of me. This is much better with the wireless. Well, I lost my audio because I did not change my input source on both of them. Technical stuff, it happens. It actually plays quite well into today's topic that we'll be going over here in a bit. Let's switch over to playing Minecraft. Done, done, done. Okay. The sad thing is, you can't really see where my camera is. You know what? Let's move that. Let's just go ahead and fix it right now. We're just going to move me over, to there. How about that? And now, yeah, now you can see. It's showing me a weird thing. Hold on. Okay. Because I realized that part of this, I look in the top left-hand corner of my screen constantly to see what blocks it is. See how it tells me what it is that I'm looking at and what I'm doing here? Well, you can't see that if I put my camera right over it, so I fixed that. We're just fixing things today. Let's see, what else should we fix? We're going to go over briefly Minecraft because it is important to me. This is my personal vlog. This is what I'm doing. I'm playing Minecraft, and a lot of things have changed since the last time we did it because I made dough the last time. I was making bread. I have expanded what I call the lab. This is my place here. No, I am not speaking to the automated assistant on my phone. It's going to do a search engine result for what I'm talking about. The last time I was here, I think, we had this entire thing set up in this area where I was doing all my ore production. No, wait. I started the video by talking about my microphone the last time. I'm still trying to follow that same kind of pattern. This is better. This is much better than me trying to talk into that thing. The wireless. If I bring up if I do too much on the camera, the webcam starts freaking out and trying to gather focus if I put something else in range. Sorry, I've been talking for an hour and a half. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. We go over the personal updates. I've switched out the microphone that I'm using for this. This is of much better quality. The other microphone that I had was the Turtle Beach thing that I had set up from before. It's not, oops, no, sand stays in there. Not ideal, but it was USB, so it worked. That's really what I was looking for, was just something that I could plop down, sit in front of, and talk without worry about it. This works pretty well as well. It's better quality. I can stick it on me. I don't have to be worried about how close or far away from the microphone I am. Did I mention it's better quality? Because it is. This is loud in here. Sorry, I'll move out of here in just a second. We're about to talk about all of this. That's kind of why I sat and did that the first time, was so that I could come in and talk about all of this. But the microphone thing was what came up first, which was important because I messed up with it. When I used it for, no, it went fine for that. I messed up here by switching the audio input. That's where the mistake was. But I found out I could use it as an audio input device for my computer, which I did not realize I could do before, because I had never tried and I never thought about it. I used it strictly for using vlogs. I did things like that. And when I used it the other week for my audio recording and the lav mics on the music thing that we did, if you watched a few videos ago, I came home and I was getting the audio clips off of the recorders themselves. So I plugged them into the computer and it was like, hey, you can just use this as an audio device. I was like, that's so much better than the USB mic that I've been using, and I like that way more. So I'm using that now and it works better. Let's see, what else did I do? I went out on Saturday, even though I hadn't planned on it. I just woke up and said, go practice doing wildlife stuff. So I went out and did that, saw some birds. It was nice. I got all my editing done today. Yesterday, well, I came home on Saturday. I guess we go through the events of what's been going on because work is boring and there's nothing I can really tell you about that. The threat of getting fired is there. I mean, the threat of somebody being cut loose because sales are down because inflation. So I updated my resume, but I mean, I do that anyway, regularly, just to make sure that just in case. Let's see. So for the weekend, I woke up, I went out on Saturday, I saw some wildlife, I came home, I made some good food, I played Hogwarts Legacy. We talk about video games for a minute. I was playing Hogwarts Legacy. I finally finished it 100%. I finished the campaign a few weeks ago. I got my notes pulled up here. Looks like in the middle of March, and we are now 10th of April. Middle of March, I finished the actual story mission, and like everything else. Well, not the story. The story I finished at the beginning of March. I spent another 2 weeks getting through all the extra stuff, and then it was glitched. I think I talked about that last weekend, didn't I? Because I was going to do it, and I only made it through one. In order to get all of the achievements, there's an achievement for getting a new character from each house in Hogwarts to a certain point in the game. It takes about 2 hours or so, maybe 2.5 when you start from fresh, the entire thing. And I had to do that 3 times. So I did one last weekend. I did the other 2 on Saturday. That was how I spent Saturday evening. Watched some TV, ate some food, stuff like that, relaxed. Then on Sunday, I recorded. I was recording the Capitalism Ho videos that I've been making. I've been enjoying that, where I talk about my stuff, my physical objects. So I recorded a couple of those yesterday. That took longer than I expected. I figured I got 4 of them to record that I did the research for. And I figured I could get that done 10, 15 minutes of video, give a little bit of time because I always kind of mess up, or I start over, or I pause, or whatever. Maybe an hour, hour and a half. It was about 3.5 hours. I went in there at like 9. I think I came out at close to noon. Maybe not quite, but close enough. It was more than 3 hours, that's for sure. It took me a lot longer than I thought it would. I always misjudge that. I need to prepare better for that stuff. And I didn't even fully get everything done. That was something I worked on today. I got my editing done this morning. We go out on Saturday, all my wildlife stuff. I finished that up, and then I did something for the Capitalism Ho videos, and then I sat down to start doing all of this stuff. And here we are almost 2 hours later. But what I needed to do this morning was take some pictures, some better pictures. I did a quick 3-light setup on the table of these objects that I recorded, because partway through the video, I realized that I just hadn't researched a pretty major part of these in order to talk about kind of the history and their stuff like that. I was talking more of my personal history with them, but I did not do the research for like what the things are. It makes more sense when you see it. I don't want to say anything too much, give anything away, but I needed something. I was going to record more audio for that, basically, and I figured, well, I can just do that with the editing. I can set up the mic here, do this whole thing like I do when I edit my normal videos. I can just cut in with that, but it doesn't make sense to cut to camera feed of me, so I'll take pictures. I'll do better pictures of them than whatever I do with the quick and dirty setup in my bedroom. So I brought out like the actual camera. I set everything up on the table. I got the lights and everything. I took some nice photos. Then I sat down to record these personal vlogs. And that's pretty much been everything that I've been up to this weekend. And that's about the only thing that's changed since the last time we talked. I've been playing a lot of Minecraft. So we can talk about Minecraft real quick. This is what I've accomplished. I have played, I checked it before in the other video recording that I did. I am now over 100 hours on this world, this save. The last time we were in here doing this, because it was a couple of weeks ago, some things that have changed. I had all of my ore production stuff set up here. That's gone. That's moved. It's in the basement. You saw it briefly. I have now expanded to the point where it is a 4 tier, which means that I put in 1 raw ore and I get 4 ingots on the back end after going through the entire process. That is a very labor intensive, not labor intensive, very mechanically intensive. It requires a lot of steps. It has to go through this stuff. I'm not going to go through all that because that'll be boring. It's kind of what I started doing the first time I recorded, and I went, no, too much. It goes through each one of these steps, right? All the way through this stuff. This took me a long time to work out all of the stuff here. It was very complicated and really fun to do. I really enjoyed doing that. I have all of my, like this entire setup here, all these machines that you see are all to produce one thing to go into here that I need for like the first step of this process. And then I use this to create another chemical that I need for another step. And then over in here, I've actually marked this, oxygen and hydrogen. I got all my oxygen and hydrogen being pumped out here for this stuff here. It's really cool. I really like doing this kind of stuff. This, as you can imagine, all of these machines drawing power require a lot of power. So what did I do for that? Well, that's what you've probably glimpsed up here. I made a nuclear reactor. This is my nuclear reactor. We'll talk about that in a second. This takes in uranium and pumps out energy, and as a byproduct, there's plutonium, which gets processed from something else. Anyway, this whole thing, again, probably boring, but I actually have a nuclear reactor. Look, there's the fuel on the inside. That's being pumped into over here to generate even more power with a turbine that I had to set up. I had to learn how to do this. I've never done any of this before. I've done a tiny bit of the ore production stuff in previous versions, but this was totally new to me. I had to learn all of this. Not great. I'd like to upgrade it in many ways, make more of them, figure out... Apparently this is a real trial and error, figuring out exactly how big the turbine blade should be, how big this entire thing should be compared to the size of the nuclear reactor. This is pumping out a lot of power, and even more power from my other generator types in the previous rooms. I kind of just leave it. I don't expand too much. Actually taking all of this down was interesting because I considered leaving it all up, but I realized it was just going to be a waste of resources when I could do so much better in the basement. But this stuff is just generating power. So anyway, I've made all of that. These are the improvements I've made to the base. My home world area. All of the armor and weapons are now, I installed a new mod, so I've got new cool weapons. These are ones that are too low powered, but they look cool, so they're going on the wall. All of the stuff that I might wind up using that is all new weapons and things like that. See how that's like of the Defender, of stubbornness, all of this stuff. Apparently, as it turns out, the mod that includes all of that, each one of these items has a ton of metadata included with it. It does not play nice with the network storage that I have, the computer storage, so that I can, well, I've got a little item in my inventory. I just have access to everything and everything that I have ever picked up in the game and stored. I really would rather you not be in here. Anyway, these special items, like this guy is a legendary, you know, boss monster. He'll drop one. And I don't need to put that into computer storage because it'll corrupt my save. It's too much data. It can get very overpowered very quickly and break things. So I moved everything to there with that stuff. These are just quick and easy, all hooked up with cables to the storage. So if I need to come up and just throw something from my backpacks into there, I can just shift click, throw it in. These fancy doors are the computer area. These are all my computer storage. I've got just disk drives full of stuff. Look, there's I just expanded, so I have plenty of room here. That's how many items I currently have collected in the game. 370,000. And it's going up because there's a lot of automation stuff going on. Anyway, moving right along. That's where I've gotten to with the base. I built a little room. I made it kind of nice for me to put all my teleporters. That's where I was at here. I got a little animal farm going over there. I need to work on that sometime. I made an actual, what I called the farm. I put trees on top to make it colorful. And underneath is just where everything is growing. Excuse you, get the hell out of here. That's just where everything is. Anyway, the colony is more important and cool. I did not build all this. This is another mod. Mine colonies. give them the resources. I gave them all the blocks for this stuff that I'd collected, and then they build it themselves. I guess it's nighttime, so everybody's kind of going to bed and stuff. And I got little villagers. It's way more interesting than just having the traditional Minecraft village, which is, I mean, way more interesting and way more in-depth is pretty much the entire theme of this mod pack. Everything is so much more. So, that's pretty much everything, I think. Close enough to there. That's what's going on in Minecraft, where I'm at currently after about 100 hours in this game. I am working on something specifically that you will see I have already started work on because, again, I have been recording for over 2 hours. Let's go work on it. I installed... Whoop, let's sleep. No monsters. I installed another... since the last time I've installed a different mod, I added on to the 350 whatever are on here. I did that sword one like I talked about for more interesting weapons, and then I installed one that I always like to add it to anything that I can because it's just, especially for me, it's called Exotic Birds, and it adds in a lot of birds and the ability to like breed birds and collect their eggs and make a whole thing. So the last time I did it, I made, I guess you'd call it an aviary, but basically a big glassed in area so the birds don't just fly off and despawn. And so I'm working on that currently. It's gonna be big. This is what I did while I was talking for that hour that I was recording. I don't know if I'll hit an hour again here, but this is what we're working on. This is going to be one wall. I just kind of went up at a random height, not paying attention. I think I'll make it multi-tiered. So this will probably extend, let's see. Whoop. Let's go over to, well, let's go to the edge here. This will probably be good. Am I in line? More or less. Good enough. Right here. So, that's the Minecraft stuff. We just moving right along. Oh, wait. I can do this faster. I always forget things because there's so much to this game. So if I do that and then I get out, I've got more brimstone here. I probably need even more than that. Let's put away some of these glass panes for now. And pull out more. You can do this and make it so much easier than manually going one at a time. Boop. Ah, excellent. Anyway, is that everything I've been doing personally? I think so. I don't... Whoops. Oh, crap. That's the downside. You make a mistake, it's a pretty big mistake, but I can fix that pretty easily. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm just listening to the music now. I've always enjoyed some of the music additions that they've made. What level? Let me just do this while I am paying attention, which is the whole point, because there's a lot more. 101. No, we are going to... I should have checked this one first. 118. Right. Bump this up, and then I can get into the mindless part, which is the whole point. I can just talk and not really pay attention to the stuff here, because there's plenty that I can be doing in ways of like what I want to be working on and stuff in this game, my next goals, but... And I put it on the front side of this part. And down we go. There we go. Pull out the glass panes and moving right along. Wait, I could just do this with the wand. Man, I make it way harder on myself than I need to. Yep, there we go. Anyway, all right, let's move on. There goes that wand. That's so much faster than doing it by hand. Oh, man. Whoops. Oh, well. We'll go back. That's Minecraft. That's where we're at. I've been playing this game a lot. I was playing the Hogwarts game. I talked about how I finished that. I've been keeping track of a lot of games that I play. I'm looking at my notes right now. Finishing Hogwarts in March and then April to actually 100% it. But I go back even further. I've been tracking I mean, I've been tracking a lot of stuff. I've been writing down what books I read, what music I listen to, if I listen to like an album from start to finish. I've been playing games and writing down what games I've been playing and about how much time I put into them, things like that. It's been going on now for many months. I mean, it's kind of similar to everything I'm doing here. I'm recording and cataloging and talking about what's going on. So that's kind of the game. I've been doing that for a bit. Let's see, I started in September, August. August into September, I was playing Horizon for the first time. Fantastic game. I usually don't wind up playing too much on PlayStation. I just don't think about it, don't grab it. And I have way more games on Xbox, so. But some of the exclusives especially, obviously, I will play those. So the 2 Horizon games I hadn't played through. I started Horizon once, but never finished it. So I played both of those back to back. Fantastic games. That took me through into November. I was also playing Monster Hunter Rise at the same time, whenever we'd play on weekends, because that was a group game. Return to Monkey Island I played in towards the end of November. That was fantastic. Let's see. Still in November, I played Halo 5, because I'd never played all the way through that campaign. I started it once and didn't finish it. I went back to Halo Infinite after that because they finally added in the ability to go back and replay missions. So I went and collected all the skulls that I'd been missing before. I mean to go back and play through that on a harder difficulty. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I kind of would like to do that with someone, but I haven't. Well, the only people I know who I play Halo with have not played through Halo Infinite yet, so kind of waiting there. I played through Elder Scrolls Online, the DLC that came out in November. Or I guess it came out at some point, but I played through that. That was fun. Messed around a bit in Elden Ring. As we got closer into December and towards Christmas, everybody moved to Fallout 76. That's our big group game the last few years. All of my siblings and their significant others, everybody plays that all together at once, which is fun. I played all the way through Cyberpunk and then all the side quests. Ace Combat 7. That was fun. I played that with the HOTAS. I don't have too many games that I play with that, but I do have it, and it's a lot of fun. Monster Hunter Rise, I started playing again on the Xbox. I played through Eastward. That was a fun game. Made by or published by the same company who did Stardew Valley, which is when I saw that I was like, oh, this will be excellent. It was a very good game. And that brought us to Hogwarts Legacy. I think that's everything. Looks like it. I've also been playing Legend of Zelda as I ride the bike, but that's not the same thing, and I also plan on doing something different with that. I'm going to make an entire video about that, similar to how I did the Pokemon games, because I think that'll be interesting. I've never played a lot of those games, so for some of them, and honestly probably most of them, it'll be the first time I've ever played through, and it's also kind of like set goal, accomplish thing, move on. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to the last few months with video game playing. I've talked about the TV shows more recently of what I've been watching. I talked about all kinds of that stuff. I think that's kind of what's been going on. So to move on to the question for today. 23 minutes so far that I've been recording. Good enough. Talked about more than just Minecraft this time, so it wasn't quite as possibly boring. Anyway, I need to make a new wand. Why did I do that? Put the sticks in here and make a new wand. The question for today was about, funny enough, it actually plays, I did this whole thing, recorded all this stuff, and then got done and realized that I'd made a pretty big mistake. Sigh. So it plays more into it. The question that came from the list of questions was, how do you react to mistakes? And the answer is not well. Not well at all. And that's it. Just end of video. Done. Obviously not if I recorded for an hour last time. Uh, no, I never really have. It's something I'm working on. It is not a trait that I'm happy about. It's not something that I'm proud of, or, it's not a good personal trait to have. So it's something that I am working on, recognizing when I've made a mistake, and recognizing not just when I made a mistake, because that's happened, and finding your own mistakes isn't always going to be the case. Some people are going to find them for you, and how you react to them is important. If I don't keep my composure, someone is not going to want to come forward and tell me if I've made a mistake again. But correcting the mistakes is more important than my feelings. So it is something that I'm actively working on. It is not an immediate one and done situation. And it takes a lot of time and effort to be able to do that, and to be forthcoming when I've made a mistake, to be willing to change and accept when I've made a mistake. It's something that I'm working on. It's not an easy process, but it is something that I have to progress in. I don't historically react well when it comes to that. That's the point, the main question for today. How do you react? It's not well, but I'm working on it. It's something that I have to do better. The way that I react to it is usually, it's not always a lashing out. It's not, I at least have gotten better on that. I'll say, for my own, pat myself on the back a little bit with that stuff. It's not always like a denial. It used to be. It used to immediately be denial, and no, it's not. No, I didn't, or you're wrong in some way. That's not the case. I am making progress there, but it's not perfect. My reaction now is more that I'm harder on myself, really hard on myself. Excuse me. There we go. Too hard on myself. It can just ruin my mood, my entire day. I will dwell on it, and I'll think about it over and over. It depends on the type of mistake as well. Some things are easier to just kind of go, oops, and move on. But some things I'm too hard on myself on. That is something that I had to recognize as a flaw, and something that I wanted to work towards achieving better. I wanted to better myself in, was admitting when I've made my own mistakes, and trying not to be too hard on myself, and just recognizing and going, okay, how do I fix it for next time? And then move on. The moving on part is really tough. Really, really tough. I don't historically do that very well. Part of it, it's a very complicated, and after talking for an hour, not remembering everything I said with that kind of stuff, I do, if I had to sum it up generally, I don't do super well with it. And I don't do super well with explaining why. It's kind of nuanced. There's a lot to it. It's not an easy thing to talk about. Which is why it's frustrating when I do make a mistake, like the audio thing for this stuff. That very much plays into it. It's a simple mistake, but I shouldn't have made it. I know better. I know how the audio stuff works. I've done this before. I've done it a lot. I should be able to know to double check my own work to make sure before you start going live. Like, I do know better than that, and yet I made a mistake. Now, is that gonna haunt me the whole day? No, because the ramifications of that mistake are not much. I record again. Oh no, I have to talk for another hour. It's annoying, it's a hassle, but it's not like I wasn't planning to do that anyway. I already did it. Twice. I know what to expect. I should be able to prepare for something like that. And there are other mistakes. There's much larger mistakes with much more ramifications. Something that's more permanent. Like losing audio, that's a big one. Losing footage entirely. I've had that happen before. And I beat myself up over that quite a bit. I still will beat myself up over that. The biggest one being the sage grouse. When I went and recorded the sage grouse and came back and found out that I'd deleted footage by accident for some of it. That stung. And that really, I was miserable for a time. And then I bucked up and went, all right, it is what it is. It's not the end of the world. Yes, footage has been lost, but I still have everything else. I'm still fine. And, you know, it's kind of a once in a lifetime event, but I got all of my editing out of there. That was kind of how I just went, all right, well, it is what it is. Do I have the raw files? No. So it will never look as good, but I did want to do something for Patreon with that one specifically, where I was like, look, here's a kind of peek behind the scenes for something like that. The full thing, the full experience was like 9 hours of footage, and I just threw all of that in to the video editor. I put everything in there together, and I let it render out as is. I didn't try to, I don't remember if I slapped a LUT on it or not. That is, I don't remember what it stands for, but it's basically a preset option for the color grading to give it a certain look. And they have presets based on what camera model you have. So it's very possible that I don't remember. I haven't looked in a while to see something like that, to see if that's the case, if that's what I did was just slap something on it. Because if so, then the footage is even more kind of unrecoverable in its original state, because it's been color graded, it's been adjusted in some way. It's processed footage. It is not raw anymore. I cannot continue to go back. If it is, then I lost some of the rawness of it, but I still have a copy of everything, so it's still useful. But my goal was to never lose footage. My goal was to always save, like, this kind of stuff eventually. I haven't been doing it recently because I have so much space on my server, so I'm lazy. But eventually, after I get everything processed and edited, I go delete all of the raw video files for vlogging, for I haven't done it at all, but I would do it for any of the, like, handheld, basically anything that's not like top of the line, straight up the, you know, out of the camera, what I'm really proud of, that kind of stuff I want to save in its raw, so I can always go back and edit it, because I learn editing very slowly. I can only handle so much learning at one time, so there's a lot of how do I solve this one particular problem? All right, well, I'm gonna have to watch a video, so I'll make it halfway through the video and go, cool, I know what I need to know, and I'll move on, and I won't learn anything else. And I've never sat down and taken like an entire course on, I did it once, color grading start to finish, and I remember bits and pieces of that, but I don't do the entire full process. I don't really have the attention span to sit there and do that the entire time. Doesn't really work out too well for me when I'm doing that. I just get bored. And then later on, I go back and go, oh, I should have been doing that this entire time. I've learned something new. So I always want to have the ability to go back over my own footage with new techniques that I've learned and new things that I probably could have learned up front but didn't. So I want to keep all that raw footage. That was a mistake that I made, that I held to myself. And that wasn't, it was bad. I'm upset that it happened still. That will probably never go away, my being upset about it. But it's not the end of the world. It's not that bad when it comes down to it. It happened, and I can move on from it. And I caught it, which was another thing. I found my mistake. I recognized, owned up to my own mistake. I found out why, and now I have a server so I don't ever do that again. That was why I built the server. That really pushed me towards spending that money, was because I lost footage, which was something that I was always like, I'll never do that. I'll do my best to never try and lose footage. I'll be on top of it, because it's so easy to not be. But it happened. It would be worse if it was something like, like if I had recorded for a client, or, you know, someone else, and I'd lost that footage the other week. If that recording stuff that I did for my significant other's school project, if I had lost footage for that, which hasn't happened, I mean, I haven't edited any of that yet, but like, if I lose footage for that, I will be devastated. It's a mistake. It will happen. I'm sure that she will be understanding about it, and we will do it again, because it's not that, it's not the end of the world, but I'll be really upset with myself because I know better. I take the steps to make sure that doesn't happen. But if it affects someone else, that's even worse. If someone else calls me on a mistake, that's even worse. That will completely ruin my mental attitude for the day, that I won't be able to get that out of my head. I won't be able to think about anything else but that. I'll be in a bad mood, basically. I mean, it'll depress me because I can't handle feedback and criticism, positive or negative feedback, criticism or praise. It all kind of affects me the same way. I can somewhat rationalize parts of it, like if it's praise, I'm always skeptical of whether or not it's genuine or whether or not I feel that way. I'm very critical about that of myself. And it's not good. It's not a mental habit that I want to have. It's not how I want to think and act and be, but it's one of the hardest things. It came up multiple times during the self-help meetings that I was doing. I've finished them now. We did we did a year, and then there was a bonus year that you could do. I have finished both of them now, and it's helped me become more aware of these things that I want to fix about myself and how I want to better myself. So it's very useful and very good in those ways, but it's not a one and done, suddenly everything's perfect. And that's something that I recognized. I came to find out about myself because, I mean, it was happening as I was doing that stuff. One instance in particular, something that I've talked about on here before, I made a mistake. I went out while I was in Wyoming. I went up a mountain during the snow part, and I was wandering around up there looking for wildlife, doing things, trying to be respectful, like I always try to do with those kind of things. And I made a mistake. I did not realize that I was not supposed to be there. The rules were very clearly stated on the sign, and I missed it, that the park is not open to just hiking, basically. People in normal boots, shoes, whatever it is during the winter. You're not supposed to be walking the trails with that. You're supposed to be using snowshoes or skis or, something else to get you elevated up off the snow. I made a mistake. I did not grow up in a snowy environment. Like, I can rationalize it to myself. That's what I'm doing. It was a mistake, but what made it worse, what still brings it to my mind today, why it's still stuck around, is because someone else pointed it out to me. Because I had to be corrected. I had to be someone else. And to be fair, the person who did it wasn't exactly the nicest about it or something. It was kind of snooty, like I should have known that. And I can't entirely fault the fact that I should have read the sign and known that. I agree with that, but it was rude. And I cannot let that go. That ruined the whole day. I mean, that really, like, my mental attitude, I could not get over that. And it was more than a day. It was like a week before I finally was like, you gotta let this go, dude. It was a mistake. You didn't do it on purpose. You weren't being a jerk about it or trying to, trying to just get around the rules or ignore the rules or anything like that. I genuinely didn't know. As soon as I found out, I moved off the trail. I moved off the path. I started trudging through several feet of snow. I fell in the snow, and I went, well, this is the punishment. You should have known that. And I never went back during the snow season because I knew that was the rules now at that point. It was a mistake. It's handled as best as could be on the outside. I never did it again. I immediately went, oh no, I didn't realize that. Thank you for telling me. I was very polite about it. I left immediately after that. I made sure to move off the trail so I wasn't ruining it with my snow prints, with my boot prints anymore after that. I fully expected to buy snowshoes once I moved here, but there has not been a single trail that I've gone to, a single park or anything that has any signs about that. People just walk around with that stuff anyway. Like they're open to that. There is an etiquette. I've seen signs about that, about what the etiquette is for snow trails that have been professionally, what do they call it? It's not like cleared, but it's treated in some way. They have a machine that comes through and basically compacts the snow and makes it a nice clean surface. And there is an etiquette to that. They put up signs about that are like, once the trail has been prepared, the etiquette is people walk on this side in their snow and you leave that side for the skis and you do this. And I pay very close attention to that. It's a mistake. I think if someone else had made this mistake, I would tell them, you're being way too hard on yourself. If their reaction was the same, if I was putting myself in someone else's shoes, I'd say, you're being way too hard on yourself. You're going way too hard on this. Checking how long it's been recording. you're going too hard on this, you're too hard on yourself, it was a mistake, you've accepted it, you've accepted responsibility, you know that it was a mistake, you're not trying to argue or anything, you're moving on past it, you're not going to do it again. It's the best that you can do. There's no reason to continue to beat yourself up about it for something that you legitimately did not know. It's not like you knew it and then, that wouldn't be a mistake at that point. That would be intentional and then you'd be a jerk. But it was an honest mistake. It was not on purpose. It was not I said that. I would be able to tell someone else that. But still to this day, like 2 years later, I'm still thinking about it. I'm still, upset that I did it in some way. And there's really no reason to be. But that's my mental I don't know the right word for it. There's probably a word for it. There's probably a term for being too hard on, more so than just being too hard on yourself, but like a chronically too hard on yourself. That happens, especially when it comes to feedback from other people. It's not great. It's not ideal. It's why I do a lot of the things that it is that as I do them, I do a lot of things because of that, because I realize that I'm not able to take feedback, positive or negative. So it's better for me to just try not to do it at all. I'm trying to be more accepting of it. I'm trying to, but I also have a weird thing about being critical and complaints. And like I said, and I reiterated this many times in the other recording that I did, how do I phrase it? I don't know what I don't want to say I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm not prepared to talk about this. And I don't think I ever will be prepared to talk about it. Some subjects I am able to think my way through. I'm able to logic it out and come up with some talking points and at least have them. If I don't write a script necessarily, I have a general idea of what to say and what to talk about in videos. Because I know that makes for a better video if I'm more prepared. This is not a subject that I am able to necessarily be prepared on, more or less. Oh shoot, didn't go all the way over here. I don't think it will ever be something that I can be cohesive on. It's just I'm going to be able to randomly spout, and that'll be the best that it is. I don't think I can ever get it to a point where I can cohesively come up with, because I don't have a way to end this. I don't have a way to and here's the summary. In summary, this. I don't have anything like that. It's just not going to happen. I don't have a way to summarize this with a better thing. I don't have a way to end it. I don't have a way to talk about it. I just kind of spouting out whatever comes into my mind and goes, yeah, that kind of, at the very least, it's true. For this time period, for this instance of myself, I guess, is a good way to put it. People change, opinions change. I myself have changed many times, and more so in the last few years than in, let's see, I'm almost 32. I'll be 32 in a few months. In the last 2 years, I have changed more mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, in every sense you can think. I've done more in those 2 years than I did in the previous 2 decades. From age 10 to age 30, from age 30 to 32, I've grown far more. I'm much happier with myself than I was before. A lot of that has to do with what I've been doing the last few years. It's a nice way to recording these videos is a nice way to kind of talk it through, to not necessarily vent. I don't want to just vent and complain, but I do want to be able to talk through things and be able to express my opinion or express my feelings, my emotions towards something. And it's a good outlet for that. But the critiques never have ever been good with me, and it's not a good thing. I've grown up with the internet. I understand what it's like. I personally never got anything from critiquing someone on the internet, so I've never done it. I really almost never leave comments on people's stuff. I don't really do anything like that. I far more if I'm on some kind of pretty much anything, I'd rather lurk than do anything. At the best, some kind of non-personal thumbs up depending on what platform you're on. I don't use any social media at all anymore, pretty much. I don't go and comment on things. I don't do anything. The only really online presence that I have of any kind is this Patreon and YouTube channel. That's about all I do. And I've enjoyed the interactions that I've had for the majority from what I've done here. There are exceptions to that. There are people who just want to fight, who just want to argue, who just want to critique, who just want to complain, who validate their existence by having a negative opinion of something. And I don't like those people. I know them in real life. I've talked to them. Look, a bird. What are you? Remember I said something about installing the mods for the... Come back! Let me out of here. What are you? You're white. I can't tell. A crow. Oh, it's a white crow. That's cool. Oh, wow. I wish you would hang around so you would live here with me. Anyway, I know people like that, and I've begun distancing myself in many ways because for a while that was my only friends. And so I went, this is just how it is. And then I realized I could pick and choose what kind of friends I wanted and the kinds of interactions we would have and who I personally like to hang around with and who I don't. And the people who are just generally negative with everything, and that's their existence. If they don't, like, the people who think the only way that they could, I guess, I've never been that way, so it's very hard for me to put myself in those shoes and rationalize it or understand it to a certain extent. But someone who only has an opinion if they have something critical to say, they can't be like, man, that newest episode of Mandalorian was amazing, and end it there. It's, that episode was awesome or amazing or whatever word they use that's positive. Here's all the things I didn't like about it. Why does the negative have to be included? Why does the negative have to be a thing? That's not how I am. I don't. I just like things. I can just enjoy things. It's perfectly, I can absolutely just enjoy something. And not everyone can. I realize that. Some people, there are certain things that I cannot help but notice. The more I've tried to learn about this, using cameras and stuff like that, I do have to kind of set myself mentally and be like, hold on now, stop what you're doing, because otherwise I'm focused too much on what camera did they use? How did they get this shot? How did they do something like that? It's that, but it's just in a negative way. It's not a curiosity like that, like the camera thing or, you know, the production of it. It's not something like that of wanting to know how they did it or wanting to, you know, emulate it in some way, thinking about how I can do it myself. I do have to do that. I have to kind of set aside time to go, I'm just going to watch this TV show and not stop and Google, where do I know this actor from? Or where, you know, how did they do this? What did they film this with? How did they do that kind of stuff? I do have to make that kind of note. But imagine if you were just doing that level of, let me stop everything, but just to complain about it, just to think critically of it, just to think that I would do it differently, or they should have done it like this. Man, who are you to say how anyone should have done anything? I get outright upset when people say things like that and be like, well, the story was this or anything. You know what? You do it then. Honestly, you think you can do a better job of it, go ahead and do it. And you know what? If people like it, that's going to be great. And you can go do your thing. And I'll be happy for you of that stuff. I don't think you should do it just for spite reasons. I don't really think that's the best motivator in order to go create something and do it. But I am also not, I don't have all the answers. I don't claim to be an expert. And there are plenty of people who have gone and had very successful careers and made fantastic things by going, someone told me I couldn't, and I'll prove them wrong. That's not me. I don't have that kind of attitude. I wish I did for certain things because I've been told that I do things poorly. I've been told that it doesn't work more times than I can count. I've had negative feedback that I easily could take. I could see that and go, I could turn that into, you know, how dare you say this to me? It doesn't work for me. My mental, I don't have that kind of fortitude. That's not how I wind up thinking, and it's not something that I think I can ever change that mental habit. It would be nice. It's something I'm working on. It's what I want to do. I would rather be able to adopt the mental mindset of, well, I'll show you and go and do it better. It doesn't work. It winds up weighing on me. It takes over my thought process, and it ruins what I'm working on or what I'm trying to do, because all I can think about is the negative comment. And it sucks. It's just not what I like, what I want. It's not productive. It's not conducive to anything. It doesn't make me happy. And at this point in my life, I'd rather be happy than anything else. I'm finding ways to be happy. That's why I do what it is that I do, is because it makes me happy. I I I recognize when I have made a mistake. I'm working on it. I made a mistake not that long. I made a mistake today with the recording. I made a mistake the other week after doing the recording of the music stuff, because I'd used that camera, is something I talked about. I went out to do wildlife the next weekend, and I did not change the settings on the camera. I made a mistake. And so the first few shots that I did for that day were super overexposed, because I'd been shooting indoors with lighting, and then I went outside where the sun is way more bright, and I had my settings way too low, and so I overexposed everything. And it wasn't exactly recoverable, because I can't shoot in RAW on that camera, but it was a mistake. It's not the end of the world. It's not something that I'm... Did I talk about this already? I feel like I've talked about this. I've been going around in circles. I apologize. It's been a long day already with this stuff. When I did this before, I thought of a few more examples of things to try to get the point across of how I treat myself and how I react to mistakes, to answer the question for today. It's not well with the wildlife stuff, with this kind of stuff. I've been doing this for a while now, recording myself in some capacity. And there have been, call them haters, call them what you will. There's been that mental attitude of, if I can't fix a complaint about something. There was a comment not too long. I try not to even engage with this stuff, because I do think that is, it's not the right answer. There are people who do that. There are people who will argue with an audience, because that gains them more audience interaction, and I keep that in mind. But that's not me. I'd rather just ignore it entirely and not even mention it. At some point, someone, try to leave it as vague as possible, someone made a comment being like, this was great, but here's a problem with it, with this stuff. And it was a minor, it wasn't even a problem. Like, I completely disagree that I even would consider that to be an issue, a technical issue with something. And I was like, you're just wrong. I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to do anything. I just don't allow the comment on my channel, on my stuff. This is my... I have the control over it here, and I will choose what goes on and what doesn't. It's more work for me. It's things that most people don't do. If you're talking about the way that they handle as a whole, I watch a lot of people who make videos on YouTube or on the internet in general, and most of them have that attitude of, it is what it is, just move on or focus on the good or whatever, take the feed, take it with a grain of salt, whatever the situation is. I'd rather just not have a negative comment. I will absolutely go and spend my time moderating and deleting things that are not positive. And I do. It's my channel. It's my area. As long as I have control over it, that's my rule. I will handle it how I want to. And that's not... I try to put it into the comment. I try to put it at least into my own head of, would I, if I were moderating for someone else, someone that I knew, and someone who I knew would get upset if they see something negative that's not constructive and not useful in any way, would I allow it? The answer is no. There's also different types. This was something else that I talked about, and I do want to... I've gone on long enough, unfortunately, but I do want to... I thought this was a good point of something at the very least. I had more fun with it because I was laughing last time. We made silly home videos growing up. Put them on YouTube. Just for fun, of that kind of stuff. Dang it. I did not want to double up like that. Ooh. Oh well. That was a lot of glass. We made silly videos, and part of it was just to have fun, and that was the, that was the main thing, was just to have fun and do stuff and mess around with it and make ourselves laugh, my siblings and I. And so, as you might expect, siblings, young children who have access to a video camera and know-how of what to do with that, just having fun making videos, they're not the best quality. But we enjoyed it. We had fun. And part of that, specifically part of that for us, was that it was funnier for us to do things that did not make sense in the video. And then have that, and like, there was one, I don't remember exactly the premise of it. I was watching the videos not too long ago. That's, oh, damn. It's a waste of glass. It's not how I want to do this. This sucks. I could not tell you. I cannot explain the whys on some of them. I actually thought of remaking some of these videos with my siblings now that I have a lot of production equipment, essentially. Like, I would be able to redo them with a much higher, and that's even funnier to me, right? The same quality, the same standard of like not making a video, not writing a script because you're just a kid doing right? Like, the dialogue is just kind of coming up with it. You got one idea and you run with it, right? Like, that's funny to me. And it would be even funnier, I think, to do that, but have ridiculously like nice camera equipment, and then, you know, have a ridiculous production value for essentially a low tier idea, and then just coming up with that stuff. That's really funny to me. And I don't know what the original video, there were two that I'm thinking of. One, we were just messing around. Like, what? I can't begin to explain what we were doing because it doesn't make any sense. But for whatever reason, we decided that there would be someone would try to deliver a pizza, but the delivery person was actually a robber. And so, like, I'm playing that character, and I open the pizza box because I'm saying, "Oh, what kind of pizza is it?" And it's like, "It's a large with extra bullets." And then I pull out a gun, and we thought it would be funny if these are airsoft guns that I have. So I pull out like a pistol out of this pizza box because it fit in the pizza box. And then we cut and we swap the gun, and now all of a sudden it's a shotgun. We don't address it. It doesn't make any sense, but that's what we did. And that was funny. That made us laugh. It's a mistake. It's an error, and it looks very much like, oh, did you mean to do that? Did you mean that did you even realize that you switched the gun out or something? And that's exactly the feedback we got on it from an adult who found our videos, like someone we knew in real life who was like, you know, you did this, and like, hey, I found that and whatever. And we went, oh, that's embarrassing. Didn't mean for you to watch those. We were just kind of messing around. But the feedback there was, you know, you made a mistake, right? And the gun changed. Now, we did that on purpose, so that was a lot easier to just go, well, yes, as embarrassing as it was that you have found this and you know about this thing that we weren't intending for it to be, you know, public knowledge with people we know in real life who will judge us on this stuff. But yes, yeah, that was an easy thing for it to be like, yes, but we did it on purpose, so it was a fun time. It's not a big deal. We made a different video. We made a different video about lightsabers, and mostly that was because I learned how to do the lightsaber effect in After Effects. I had a free trial of software or something like that. This is when I'm 14, 15 maybe. Star Wars is amazing, of course, and so that was something that was like, oh, well, we can do this. And so we were like, well, this is the main point, is lightsabers. Lightsaber first, knowing how to do the effect, and then everything else secondary. Plot, effort, and general intrigue. Like, first and foremost was we could do the lightsaber effect. And it took a lot of time. I don't remember the exact term, if it's rotoscoping, but the way I watched a YouTube video after, I was like, what's a special effect that I can do? And somebody said, make lightsabers. You know, I saw a YouTube video. It's like, well, there we go. I want to learn how to do that. And so I followed that stuff. And it was frame by frame animating, basically. So we did, we took lightsaber handles that we had, toy lightsabers that you would like flip out and the plastic blade would extend. We removed the plastic blade and just stuck in a PVC pipe that was a couple feet long and then taped it in so it would stay while we're swinging them around. So we did that. And we also did, I'm also remembering now, we took just a broom handle, basically. It's like 6 feet long, 5 or 6 feet long, and just put shiny aluminum tape around the middle of it and then spray painted the two ends red, and that's a double-bladed lightsaber. But the point is, without even realizing, that was actually a really smart idea. I did not plan for that. That was just, hey, we need something to swing around and then I'll animate over top of it. I did not consider how exactly it worked because I did not learn it fully. I just went, I can do this, and then stopped the video there and then moved on to let's go shoot this. It actually worked out that we used very bright PVC pipe and very bright paint, like neon red painted stick for the double-bladed lightsaber, because that came in really handy for the fact that we shot it at night in the backyard off the porch, and we just used the lights that we had there so that you could see us at the very least, and you had a very dark background, so the lightsaber stood out more. Then in editing, you go frame by frame and you make the effect, you just kind of paint over it, and then you drag it along to give it a blur because it moves from frame to frame, and I just covered it up. It took like 2 or 3 days to edit this, and usually all the videos we'd made before were simple idea, shoot it, done, throw it together in Windows Movie Maker, put some credits on it, and you're done. And it would take 20-30 minutes. And this was days that I spent on this. I was really proud of it. I thought it was really cool. I added special effects, like I did special effects. I made a lightsaber effect. I added sound effects. We made mistakes on several of those actually, but like we did all this stuff. I thought it was really cool, and I was really happy with it. And one of the older siblings, who was much older at this point, like pointed out their feedback. The only thing, it wasn't like, hey, you did a really good job, it wasn't all this stuff. All I remember was just them being like, well, there wasn't any glow from the lightsabers, like on your faces, on the people. There was no reflecting light in something like that. Now, to be fair, that's very difficult. I don't know if I could even today with special effects, if I would do something and try to get a glow effect on a person's reflection, like on a person as a reflection, because that sounds really difficult to nail and not have it look really weird. I would do that. Like physically in real life. I would set up, if I were to do that today, if we were going to go and make a lightsaber video right now, I would do the same thing where you have some kind of prop that you can then animate over top of. And then whenever you do that, I would just put another light and like gel it with a green light for a green lightsaber. So you get a bit of that glow on them. I would do it realistically because that seems way easier than trying to do it in special effects. Now, technology's come a long way. I don't know. I'm not really interested in doing special effects as a full-time thing. Like I don't put that much time and effort into looking at what special effects has. I don't enjoy editing all that much as it is anyway. So I don't know. Technology could have come far enough to the point where it's a real easy thing to add a glow effect. I don't know. The point is that hurt bad. That feedback, the criticism of, well, you didn't do the, it doesn't look real because of this thing. It looks bad because of that. There were far worse mistakes in there. We did voiceover for one point because we realized we're like 30 feet away from the camera and it's just this little camcorder that we have. And you can't hear someone, and the story doesn't make any sense anyway. We're just making a goofy video, but you can't really hear them. You can't hear what's being said. It doesn't make any sense. And so we just dubbed over real quick. I just remembered one of the things that we did was like lightsaber back and forth, hit, back and forth, and then a disarming, and the lightsaber goes flying behind you, and then you just hear a cat go, "Meow," and I got my sister to record that noise. It's so good. But like then we did another one where we were like, well, it doesn't. We need to show that this is a killing move, and so we recorded one of the siblings going die, but it was way blown out. We used this crappy little microphone that I had to hook up to the computer, just like this little USB mic, I think. It was terrible. Or maybe we might have even used the one from Rock Band. It was garbage. And the levels were way blown out compared to the rest of the video. How did I not notice that? I was editing all of that. I put that separate audio file in and I could adjust the volume of it. And I remember going, that's too loud, and turning it down, and it wasn't nearly, it was still way too loud. It's way louder than the rest of the video, and it blows it out. That wasn't the mistake. The mistake was the lightsaber thing, something I didn't even consider or think of. To me, that wasn't even something that came into my head. At the very least, I knew the audio thing, but hearing that feedback just crushed us. I mean, me, I didn't want to make videos anymore after that. We kind of dropped off anyway for doing that stuff. We did other things, but I was not about to try another special effect because I'd received bad feedback on that. That's not great. You shouldn't stop what you're doing because of what somebody else thinks, especially if somebody else has never tried that themselves, doesn't know the amount of effort and work that goes into it, and is just pointing it out to be negative. I'm not trying to say, in case that sibling watches this and feels bad, if they even remember saying that. I doubt it, which is why I'm being vague and not using names, because I have a feeling that, first of all, that sibling's never going to watch an hour and 5 minutes into me playing Minecraft and talking about random things, so I'm pretty safe there. But also, I don't think that there would be any kind of recognition of like, wait, did I do that? Anyway, the fact is that's unfortunately how a lot of it goes, and it's been like that my entire life. I know I don't do that myself because I know how it feels. So when I try to give someone a correction, I revert back to karate, as we talked about a few months ago with that kind of stuff. I was teaching and training and assisting other people, and they very much drilled into us, you use PCP, not the drug. You praise, correct, praise. If you're going to come up and say somebody's doing a form wrong, their foot is turned the wrong way, you come up and say, hey, you're doing a really great job, but with this part of it, then you correct that thing, and then you praise them overall again and give them, or you pick something else, be like, but again, you're doing really good with this, or, now you're doing really well with that thing because they made that correction, whatever the thing is. I genuinely do remember that when I have to correct someone, if I don't think about it right in the moment. But if I know ahead of time that I have to correct them, I do try to think of it that way. I'm not great at it. I'm not an instructor for a reason. I don't really have a lot of patience for that side of things. I don't try to do educational, instructional, or anything like that because it's not great for me. But anyway, I don't know. I can take a step out of it. I can easily look back and say, depending on what it is, but some things hurt on a personal level. And that's not great to be in something, to be, putting videos on the internet where people are mostly just critical. But yeah, remember when I said I didn't really have like a good way to end this? I didn't have a good way to like sum it up or be like, but here's this. I just don't. That's currently how it is. At this point in time, April the 10th in 2023, at this age, those are my opinions, those are my feelings on the matter. That's how I currently am. It's something I'm working on, something I'm trying to do, but I don't expect it to change, honestly. Certain things just aren't going to. I think it would be different if I seek out advice or feedback from someone. I think I take that very differently because then I'm asking, I'm going, please look at this and tell me what you think about it. And I can expect and I can brace for the impact there. It's much different than someone looking at a YouTube video that I've made and just going, well, this sucks. Yeah, it probably does. I don't care. I care depending on what it is. This right here, yeah, this probably does suck because all I'm doing is speaking to a camera. It's very low effort. It's just me. It's not even scripted. It's not put forth with any effort. It doesn't have any kind of meaning or a goal that I'm trying to work my way to with my words. It's just me kind of word vomiting for over an hour. That's fair. The sage grouse video that I made, or the elk, or the bison, or these ones that I put time and effort into, those I hold very highly within myself. And yeah, some people could look at it and tell me all the mistakes that I made and tell me how well I did. Or somebody could be like me. If somebody showed me that and it was on the other side of it, I'd just be like, this is amazing. Is it protecting their feelings? Yeah, a bit. Does it help them improve? I don't know. It's hard to say. I feel like I am able to look at things. I feel like I'm able to improve without the feedback side of it, but just by comparing to other things, which is why I don't tend to look at a lot of stuff because I am too harsh on it. I have to be in the mindset. I like to watch nature documentaries by professionals that they're a step above. I can easily distinguish between someone who's made a Netflix documentary, which is what got me started on a lot of this, and myself. And I can go, here's where I want to get to. It's a lot harder if I watch someone here on YouTube who's also doing it and they're just doing a phenomenally better job than myself, because then I look at it and go, well, we on the same platform, and then I start digging into it. Have they been doing it longer? Maybe they've got more. Maybe some people are just better at it. But the problem is that I always compare it to where I'm at. And if I'm not in the mindset to be doing that openly and honestly with myself, and not have the outcome of, I don't want to do this anymore, then I just don't do it at all. Because that definitely happens when that's the major problem, is that I just won't do it at all. I'll just stop doing it if I compare myself too harshly. I'm too hard on myself, like I said. So if I look at these things and I look at what other people have done and I don't think I'm up to that same level, it just depresses me and makes me not. It doesn't channel into, to bring it back, it doesn't channel into, well, I'll do better, of those kind of things. That happens when I look at it from a certain perspective and a certain amount of content and things. People can make the argument whether or not that's good, whether or not you improve with feedback and you only get better when someone critiques you. I don't know. I don't want to go down that path. I don't want to find out. If that's the case, and the only way that I can be successful, the only way that I can achieve my dream of doing this professionally is to be critiqued and feedbacked and nitpicked on these kind of things, then I don't really want to go down that path. I'd rather do my own thing. That's kind of what I've discovered of this kind of stuff. I don't really want to go out with a camera and get paid for it in the more traditional sense. I've talked about that. I don't want to do weddings at all. I don't want that pressure. I don't want that stress. I don't want to disappoint someone if I make a mistake. I don't want to do that. I would rather find people who just go, hey, I like Michael for Michael. I like what he's doing, and I will support him through Patreon. That's really the ultimate goal of where it's going towards, because then I know that I can't really mess up that bad unless I just don't do anything at all. If I don't even try, the people who are willing to support me while I try, that's the audience that I want. That's what I really want to work towards. So yeah, that's well more than enough on the subject. I hope I answered the question more than enough. That came from my list of questions of things. And there's several topics that I've scrolled past before looking at it being like, I don't want to get into all that because I don't have it well thought out. I don't have a good thought process on why I am the way I am. And I guess I put it off long enough to the point where I saw it today and I went, yeah, sure, I'll go ahead and do that. And it took me 3 tries. God, I hope this comes together. I can see the audio levels, so at least I hope that worked, because I really don't want to do this again. It's late enough in the day. I want to go eat and I want to move on and I want to do other things. I don't want to sit here and just record over and over and over and trash everything because it's all bad and it doesn't work. I just want to move on. Get through the other things today that I wanted to do. I like the music from Minecraft. I'd like to end it on a more positive note. I'm branching out. I'm trying other things. Because I want to. Because, I mean, I've talked about it before. That's the entire thing. I did something completely different from anything else with the Capitalism Ho videos. I know that they're not great. They're literally meant to be an even lower tier of effort in some ways. With the cameras, like, it's a lower production. They don't look as good. I would like to do better with that. It's something I can work towards, but I just had to start doing something in that regard because it was just burning away of constantly thinking about it. Eventually it gets to a point where I just don't want to even think about it anymore, so I just want to do it. And usually I've talked about before where that hits the point where I just buy something that I've been debating about because I don't want to think about whether or not I can afford it or whether or not I should buy it anymore. I just want to own it and be done with it. And I think that's what hit that point. I was really excited about that. I had this idea whether or not it works out in a 4-flush thing. I mean, I'm still recording them, so clearly it's working out for something. That's not saying that I won't improve. It's not saying that I don't look at them and go, I could do better in this way. And that's really how I improve, is by looking at my own stuff and critiquing it. And it takes some time. I have to walk away from the edit. I have to come back on it a few months later and look at this stuff. But then I can spot my own mistakes. Then I can recognize what I need to do better on, and then I improve those things. That's the best method for me in my own mental way. That's what works for me. It's probably why I don't attend a college or any kind of formal education with that stuff, because there's a lot of test taking. I hate tests. I can know something. There's a lot of, I will know something dead to rights. I will know it backwards and forwards, upwards and down. And then as soon as I'm asked or it's on an official paper for a test or a question, it's all out the window. I just won't remember any of it, or I'll muddle my way through and won't know. That's always how it's been. And that has deterred me from, I mean, I was homeschooled, so we didn't really have a lot of testing with that kind of stuff. But then we got done and it was like, are you going to college? And I did not want to, for that reason. I mean, for several reasons. Debt was a lot of it. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew from some of my siblings and from people that I've talked to and things like that, that I did not want to go into something and make that decision right there and then wind up in debt later on and go, I didn't even want to do this in the first place. I've discovered something else about myself. I don't, if I could travel back in time, I don't think I would go back and tell young Michael, put that camera in your hand and just keep practicing and keep, I would probably do that, but I wouldn't tell him go back in time and go to school for it, because I don't think I would have made it through. I don't think I would have completed the core classes of that kind of stuff. I think learning by experience, learning by failing. I don't need the failures pointed out by other people. I know when it's a failure. But learning by that and learning by the many, many failures that I have is how I'm going to do this. I still wanted to end it on a positive note, and it still kind of took a downturn towards the end with me talking about failures. I'm doing what I want to do. That's really what it's come to. Instead of what I did before when I was making videos a few years before any of this started. I talked about that last time. I was making videos just playing video games, and I didn't enjoy it, just talking myself and trying to keep up a running commentary about the game. I've come around, clearly, I've come around a little bit on that because I have something else to talk about. And I've also relaxed on the fact that I'm not trying to make a Let's Play video on par with the people who I watch make them. I'm just using this as a medium, so it's something different to look at than the crappy webcam footage of my face while I sit here and talk. And it gives me something to do this entire time. So I'm still making progress. I'm still getting something done and accomplishing something that I want to do. You know what I did over the course of today while I was doing all that stuff? I built this entire beginning thing to my aviary. I've already completed basically one wall. I'll come in and level this stuff off and add some rigidity here, and then I'll continue this, and I will then come in here and landscape all of this and add various trees and areas for the birds to go, and then I'll plant bird eggs. That's not how that works. Oh no, I know how it works. It's just been going so long. Hour and 17. Okay, the point is that I'm making this because I want to, and you know what, I guarantee you there is at least one person out there who will find this interesting and enjoy the fact that I'm playing Minecraft as opposed to just sitting in my car, and then will enjoy hearing the things that I talk about and the way that I talk about them. I guarantee it. There's at least one person out of the many billions on this planet. And I already know that that's the truth because the numbers are kind of going up. I got more subscribers, more people are watching the videos, there's good feedback. I had someone just the other week, remember when I sat here the first time and I did that? Somebody asked a question because they were like, hey, this stuff is cool. I know it's working in that regard. I don't, it's weird to say it's working because it makes it feel like I have, the motive of trying to build a whole audience and stuff like that. And that's not really the case. Like I said, really what I want, if I were to close my eyes and just picture the dream of what it is, I get to just record whatever I feel like recording. And then there are people who go, cool, this was cool. I like this, whatever it is. Here's some money so you can continue doing that. Support you on Patreon or whatever the case may be, or ad revenue if there's enough people on YouTube, whatever it is, so I could transition to just sitting and talking to a camera, going out and looking for wildlife. What else do I do? Making videos about the stuff that I own, being able to collect things and do that stuff and have people who go, this is cool, please keep doing this, here's a couple bucks a month, and then I do that to enough people where I can transition to doing that full time and I don't have to work any more crappy jobs. I don't have to work 40 hours a week slaving away doing, it's not the right word to use. I don't have to work 40 hours a week in a mind-numbing job that does not engage me, creativity wise like using a camera does. That's my ultimate goal. And yes, I still would like to do that on the wildlife side of things, and make documentaries and shoot cinematography wise, and be really, and make a documentary thing that I can be like, look at this, I'm proud of this. I want to do that. That's all for today. I have to stop. I have to force myself to stop. I keep trying to think of ways to bring it around in a positive way. And if the fact that I just at the very least gain more subscribers, and it blows up a little bit and spreads a little further to each and every people, if it makes a difference to any one person who is watching it, that's enough. That's how I handle mistakes. Very poorly. And I just try to do better. If nothing else, that's what I can say about all of this. Now I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to go eat something, because I've been doing this for like 3 hours, 3.5, close to 4 hours probably. I don't remember exactly when I started, but it's been quite a while. And I'm going to go eat something, and I'm going to not talk for a while because my voice hurts now. By all means, ask a question if you'd like to ask a question. You can do that on email, michael@quaft.com, QWOFT, or YouTube comments work. Pretty much the only way that I look at stuff like that. And I put all that in the description. Goodbye. Oh my god. Ooh, that was a whole thing. Blah, it doesn't feel very cohesive, but it was certainly something that I did at the very least. Blah.